Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic. What's the most ridiculous fact you know? The singer of Peanut Butter Jelly Time died in an 11-hour police standoff during which his brother-in-law, Snoop Dogg, attempted to calm him down and convince him to surrender. He died in 2002. How did I not know this until now? Because it hasn't been Peanut Butter Jelly Time since then. Cowsmoo with regional accents. Lamoo. Dasmoo. Lots of animals have regional accents. https://www.nationalgeographic.com/animals/article. I hope my dog has a regional accent. A human body can produce enough carbon upon cremation to make 200 pencils. You can be your own souvenir at your funeral. Sounds like a good way to set yourself up for some kind of weird soul magic if you ask me. I don't trust bitches not to write some weird voodoo spell with my bone pencil and summon my soul to do their bidding. Sounds like a fun after-death hobby. You can be your own souvenir at your funeral. Spoken like a true Firiji. Ants take 250 power naps a day. And grizzly bears can consume up to 100,000 calories per day. This indicates that I am half ant, half bear. You are also half man. You are man-bear ant. I'm super cereal. Apparently in Korean fairy tales, instead of saying once upon a time, they usually say back when tigers used to smoke. And it apparently comes from a time in which tobacco was so cheap that literally everyone used to smoke. The 1980s. I don't remember where I came across it, but the phrase back when trees could walk and stones could talk is my favorite fairy tale starter. The treadmill was actually a torture device in jails. Now it's a torture device in my basement. Now it's a co-track in my basement. One form of punishment in prisons was to turn a crank handle, like an old car starter. Every so often the prison warder would come round and tighten a screw to make it harder to turn. Which is how prison guards became known as screws. One of the oddest features of the truly odd and horrible US prison system is that it has a near universal effect of making prisoners more physically dangerous and mentally unstable. Recidivism may be more of a self-fulfilling prophecy in this system than most realize. If you smell fish and no one's cooking, it's an electrical fire. Can confirm. I read this somewhere, so when I started smelling a rather fishy odor that I couldn't tie to anything, I started sniffing various electricals and realized my electronic knitting machine was dangerously overheating. As I would have left it on overnight to avoid losing the place in the pattern, I'm very glad I read that random piece of info somewhere. Some penguins have traded sex for stones as they use those stones to make nests. Truly the oldest profession. Some female penguins engage in prostitution, performing sex act in exchange for pebbles. However, sometimes they will just trick the male into thinking they'll have sex, then run off once she gets the pebble. Truly fascinating animal. All clowfish are born male. The dominant clown changes to female. When the female dies, the next dominant male steps up into motherhood. Yes, emo dad is now his new mother. The dominant clown changes to female. Hey everybody, I found a name for my first Askreddit Aug pop album. One of the oldest tablets from Mesopotamia is a customer complaint. There is even a whole collection that was discovered. So some dude did a terrible job trading copper and kept all the complaints he got about it in a room specifically built to house the complaints. The singular for spaghetti is spaghetto. That's the bad side of town in Italy. On a cold and grey Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born. Spaghetto. Your intestines know how to get back in the right place. When doing abdominal surgery and the intestines need to be moved or rearranged, the doctor will just stuff them back in. They will then wriggle back into place. Can confirm. Mine had to be hosed down when my appendix exploded and the surgeon said they just stuffed it all back in, and I've been poopy like a trooper ever since, so I'm assuming it got its shit together. Imagine a surgeon moves your liver by an inch, and the liver is just like, absolutely fucking not. Can you imagine being a nurse for the first surgeon to do this? Sorry, you're going to what now? I'm just gonna shove the shit in there. I know I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't sound very proper. Yeah, you're right, you're not a doctor, so grab a handful of intestine and start shoving. I witnessed a surgeon do this while I was doing a clinical rotation in nursing school. He was just pulling loops of intestine out rapidly, examining, I think throwing in a suture every once in a while if needed, and then slopping it all back in while his preferred music was blaring in the background. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I kept looking at my preceptor to gauge whether that was normal. The hole or rotation was nothing like I had imagined it would be. There was a tiny self-declared Republic of Canada that lasted for a few months in the winter of 1851-1852. What happened to it? It froze. Up until last year, John Tyler, born in 1790 and 10th President of the US, had 2 living grandsons. One passed away in September but the other one is still alive. So, should someone smoke the last living grandson real quick? So we can say John Tyler, born in 1790 and 10th President of the US, has a great-grandchild living in 2100. My man is probably shooting dust now. Any drink under 10% ABV was considered a soft drink until 2011 in Russia. On the flip side, there are some places that only allow beer/alcohol under like 4% to be sold in stores. In order to buy anything stronger you must go to a liquor store. This is common in Nordic countries and some more conservative US states. That in terms of time Tyrannosaurus rex is closer to humans putting a man on the moon than it was to a Stegosaurus. Dinosaurs were around for a really long time. Also, the first dinosaur bones discovered were in 1819. The founding fathers didn't know dinosaurs existed. Also the first dinosaur bone was discovered in 1677 but they thought it belonged to a giant human. Pregnant women are not allowed to work in the area of the factory where Pringles receive the flavoring spray. In case they pop and just can't stop. I would love to know the reason behind this. My money's on cancer, it's usually cancer. The longest female beard was measured at 36 centimeters or just above 1 feet. I think my buddy's old girlfriend was taller than that. Before the invention of light bulb, people slept an average of about 10 hours every night. They also often didn't sleep through the whole night. A lot of cultures had first sleep and second sleep with a wake-up time in the middle to stoke the fire, have a snack, talk, etc. Edit, yes, it was also business time. Bring back 2 sleeps. Hair lice came from chimps, pubic lice came from gorillas. I can only wonder how that happened. Stupid sexy gorillas. And syphilis came from sheep. Nearly half of the losses in the Battle of Prague 1914 were prostitutes caught on the sinking Russian cruiser Zmchug. Hookers on naval underwater vessels should be called substitutes. Oxford University was founded before the Aztec Empire. When Oxford first started they didn't teach calculus, because it hadn't been invented yet. That's a poor excuse. Every time you shuffle a deck of cards, chances are that you have put them in an order that has never been seen in the history of the universe. And yet I still end up with an awful hand every time. This one is actually pretty mind-boggling. I like these probability ones. Enjoy this description of just how astronomical the numbers for a shuffled deck of cards are. There are 52 factorial combinations. Set a timer to count down 52 seconds, that's 8.06581067 seconds. Stand on the equator, and take a step forward every billion years. When you've circled the Earth once, take a drop of water from the Pacific Ocean, and keep going. When the Pacific Ocean is empty, lay a sheet of paper down, refill the ocean and carry on. When your stack of paper reaches the sun, take a look at the timer. The 3 leftmost digits won't have changed. 8.0631067 seconds left to go. You have to repeat the whole process 1,000 times to get 1/3 of the way through that time. 5.3851067 seconds left to go. So to kill that time you try something else. Shuffle a deck of cards, deal yourself 5 cards every billion years. Each time you get a royal flush, buy a lottery ticket. Each time that ticket wins the jackpot, throw a grain of sand in the Grand Canyon. When the Grand Canyon's full, take 1 ounce of rock off Mount Everest, empty the canyon and carry on. When Everest has been leveled, check the timer. There's barely any change. 5.3641067 seconds left. You'd have to repeat this process 256 times to have run out the timer. Source: E:, originally copied on my phone. Made format fixing. Saddam Hussein wrote an erotic novel. Ref equals https://wikipedia.org/wiki. Proof equals Fla 1, Zababa and the King. I love that he also forced everyone in Iraq to learn how to read. If they didn't, they had to go to jail. Adults and children in Iraq were forced to learn how to read. Image getting a letter that states you have to go to jail BC you can't read. Edit, Gusil go to jail BC I wrote image I wrong well I'm not gonna change it. Basically Zababa is raped by her husband, USA stopping Iraq forces in Kuwait, and the king, Saddam, avenges her. Since we are doing this here is an anecdote about him. Saddam Hussein loved Doritos and could eat a family-sized bag in 10 minutes.